Hey everyone, it's the Snowman with TooLoudTooOldMusic.com. This week, part one of a two-part series. We're going through the Scorpions collection on vinyl. So let's do it. Hey everyone, it's the Snowman with TooLoudTooOldMusic.com. Welcome back to the collection. This week and next week, we're going to talk Scorpions, one of my favorite bands. I didn't get into them until the 80s, like probably a lot of people when they did Rock You Like a Hurricane and those kind of things. Well, maybe Blackout was probably the first album that I really knew. But since then, I've gotten everything from the debut all the way up to Rock Believer, and I figured why not discuss it? I've already discussed every single album and every piece in my collection over at the website at tooloudtoolmusic.com. So if you want to see in detail how I feel about every album, see the rankings, uh, go there, check them all out. I'll leave a link to the site down below. And I'd appreciate it if you went. That would be great. But we're going to just focus on one half of, maybe not half, but just one portion of their career for this week. And it's half of my collection. So we're going to start with Lonesome Crow, go all the way up to Blackout. And then next week we'll come back, Love at First Sting, all the way up to Rock Believer. So might as well start now with their debut album, which is Lonesome Crow. Now, my copy is not an original from the release. This is a 1982 UK reissue, and I love that cover. And here is the back of it as well. This to me is a cool cover. The weird thing is this material on here, I don't know, it feels very rubbery. It's paper, but the coating on it, it's very flimsy and stuff, very rubbery, but an interesting thing. This is like I said, the UK. So what we have here is a beautiful translucent brown. I love that darkness on the rim, um, and there, and it's got a great label on it. Um, just a really cool release, reissue of this out of the UK. The album originally came out on February 29th, 1972, so leap year. Uh, the only album that features Michael Schenker on as a member, and I think he was only like what 16 years old at this time, just insane. But you had Klaus Meine on vocals, Rudolf Schenker on rhythm, Michael on lead, Lothar Heimberg on bass, and Wolfgang Dizioni. So I butchered that, I'm sure. He was on drums. This particular album, um, it's not one of my favorites. I don't think the band's found their sound yet. It's a very psychedelic kind of ride. It's just got a little bit of trippiness to it. Um, it just seems really unfocused, experimental, and it's not what you expect when you hear the name Scorpions. Uh, Klaus might be the lead singer, but he's really not on him that much. This is more of a kind of a jam album, more instrumental. There is some Klaus, but it's a lot of just instrumental stuff. No denying the great musicianship on this thing. It is tremendous, but it is not one of my favorite albums of theirs. I do love that cover from the UK, though. That is really cool. Um, so that is what we have for the debut. Then their next album from November 1st, 1974 is Fly to the Rainbow. This is just I'm sorry, but it's just the ugliest freaking cover. It came out on November 1st, 1974. We now have Uli Jon Roth on guitar, or Ulrich Roth, however you want to say it. We have a new bass player with Francis Buchholz and Jürgen Rosenthal on drums. I don't have any insert or anything. It's just a black RCA label. Um, but yeah, probably one of the ugliest covers. We're gonna notice this on a lot of the Scorpions release. They have the worst covers and some of the worst band pictures of all time. Doesn't don't don't judge the music by it. But it is an interesting thing. The first half of this album, I think, is pretty stellar. The band they started to find their groove a little bit. It's more hard rock sound. Back half is a little bit weaker. Uh, Uli's guitar playing, it is a shot in the arm. It is so much better on this album. Klaus finally getting to sing a lot more. I mean, with the new rhythm section, you have Rudolph and Francis on there. They're phenomenal on this album, and it is the only album to feature Jorgen on drums, and they do go through drums like crazy. It's a step up from the debut, but still not quite classic status. But it is a giant leap forward from where they were, and it is again just a horrible cover. Um, so now what I'm going to do is I'm throwing something in due to the time period. This is a pretty recent release as far as a bootleg goes, and it is called Rock and Roll Queen. Fantastic cover, and I love the shot on the back. The album is just a standard black album, but look at that label with the Japanese writing on there. Same on the other side, so you really don't know what is what. But this album, it is from the Fly to the Rainbow tour at Gruge Hall, Essen in Germany on April 26th, 1975. Just a killer album. And for this, Rudy Lenners is on drums, so no more Jurgen. He didn't make it for the tour. We've got a jam that opens it up. This is my song, They Need a Million, Drifting Sun, Red House, Rock and Roll Queen, Fly to the Rainbow, Speedy's Coming, Robot Man, and Jam. Just a killer little set. It's not a full show, I don't believe, but I like bootlegs and I like that cover, so I got it. All right. So then we're on to our next album, which, if I'm not mistaken, is In Trance. This is from September 17th, my wife's birthday, in 1975. This is the unedited cover. They do have a different cover for this, for if you don't know, that blackens out this area so you don't see anything. Um, this is a much better album. Let's see who is on this one now. We have, yeah, Rudy Lenners is the drummer as he was on tour for the previous album. This one, you know, I do like this one a lot. It is, to me, it's kind of their first real album. I don't know. There have been a band at this lineup for a little while, except for the drummer. The songs are tighter. It's straight up hard rock. There's some progressive sounds of the early, but they're mostly gone at this point. And it's just more in your face, more wham bam, thank you, ma'am kind of stuff. Um, it's just there's also this sadness, I think, on this whole album, there feels like, which I think adds a little magic to the whole sound of their album. Um, this is just a standard black, but I love the gold RCA Victor label on it. Just a really good album. I actually, this is one of my in my top 10 favorite Scorpions albums. But they did actually have a decent cover on this one as well. Then we get to one of their more controversial albums, I would say. It is Virgin Killer. Came out on November 22nd, 1976. It has an album cover that I do not have. I will not pay that price for what it is. It is a little girl that's naked. She's probably preteen, and it's just an inappropriate album cover. The collector inside of me would like to have it, but I would never ever show it, and I probably will never buy it because they're really expensive. But I do have a album on it with the redone cover, which is not a great one. It's a Best Buy series on there. Um, and Virgin Killer, though, it's a really strong album. It's just not, you know, that cover really just kind of kills it for me. It's not one of my top tens, that's for sure. There aren't a ton of memorable tracks on here. I do like Catch Your Train, Pictured Life, and the song Virgin Killer. but there are just too many misses on here, and they only have 9 tracks. And when you only have 9 tracks, a few misses, it's not the greatest album. It wasn't a step forward. It was more a step backwards for me from In Trance. It just didn't have the songs on here at all. Um, just not a, I don't think it's a very good effort. And we're back to the black RCA uh, cover on or label on that one. Um, yeah, it's just not a good album. Even with, you know, that cover does not help it at all. So that's really all I can say about that one. Then we go to December 4th, 1977, and we get Taken by Force. Taken by Force. This is the original cover. This is not an original album. This is a reissue. I just wanted that cover. Um, this was a very controversial cover as well because you got two kids playing in a cemetery with guns, and it offended a lot of people because I believe these are like military um, crosses for the cemetery, and it's just did not go over very well. So they redid the cover, and this is the new cover or the cover that was then released, which is horrible. It's just individual shots of the band members and then just black everything else. They didn't put any thought into redoing this and how they would. On my version, this is the inner sleeve um, that houses the album. It is black. I do like the Scorpions label on this reissue. Um, it's really, really nice. On this one here, it is just probably the RCA label. A little different than the last ones. Um, but, I just glad I have both copies. I mean, I'd love to get an original with that cover. They are kind of pricey, if you can find one. Um, but Taken by Force, I mean, they really outdo themselves on this one, in my opinion. There's just something about that groove on this album. We now have Herman Rarebell on drums. They went through a lot of drummers, Spinal Tap kind of stuff. Yeah. Um, it's not I don't think it's one of Uli's favorites. You know, he just, I just don't think he liked it too much, but I like this one there's just a great groove into it. Like I said, Klaus just keeps sounding better and better. Rudolf is just as a rhythm guitarist, and then you have Francis on bass. They just kill it on this album. This is a totally killer Scorpions album from beginning to end. Um, there's just so much good stuff. He's a woman, she's a man. Steam Rock Fever, Will Burn the Sky, The Riot of Your Time. Just songs that might not be all classic Scorpion songs, but they're just solid, solid tracks. Top five for me on this one. Really, really like that one. Uh, all right. So then we get a live album from the band. This one is from 1978. It was recorded in Japan at a show at Nakano Sun Plaza on April 24th and 27th. We have Tokyo Tapes. Just a great, great cover there. Not a great shot of the back, but that shot here of the guitar player and the bending over. It is a gatefold, so we will open it. We got some good shots of the band walking through there. Just a killer, killer live album. Um, I mean, I'm trying to think of what I'm saying. It's just a great time capsule for this time period. Um, it's a greatest hits album with everything that's on here. It's just live. I mean, the playing on this is phenomenal. The song choices are phenomenal. This to me is one of the best 70s live albums because the 70s, man, they just had the best live albums, even though some technically weren't live. Um, just a solid, solid piece. If you want a good live album, a good selection of early Scorpion stuff, get Tokyo Tapes and check that one out. It is just, it's perfect. It really is. Um, okay, now we're back to the studio albums. Then we're going with Love Drive. This is from January 5th, 1979. I do not have the one with the guy grabbing her boob and pulling the gum off. I would like to get one of those one day, but I found this one out one time and I grabbed it first because it was the first one I found. So this is the alternate cover, more tame. It is cool though. I mean, the Scorpion is really great. The logo is awesome. Um, you got the band there, label there, just black. Now we're on Mercury, so we have the Mercury label here. This is also, I believe this is the first one with Matthias Jabs, if I'm not mistaken. Uli is no longer in the band. Everybody else is the same. We have Michael Schenker back on guitar. Not on all of it. He is on some of it. Um, but it's nice to have him back in the fold as well. Um, Love Drive is, so I wish I do need to get that killer cover of it. This is an album that I really, really do like. It's not quite top five. It might be number six if I had to rank it. I just think it's awesome. Anything from this point on, from the 80s and stuff, from 79 to the 80s, it's just, to me, that is just Scorpions that I grew up with. So I cannot complain about this one at all. Matthias Jabs, if I'm saying that right, I'm sorry. If I'm butchering it, I apologize. He just plays for the song. It's more versatile, as opposed to showboating and stuff. Michael's a little more flashy, but Matthias is definitely more for the song, which is what I really like. Loving You Sunday Morning, Another Piece of Meat, Coast to Coast, um, Love Drive, Holiday, all classic songs for the Scorpions. This to me, if you want to start with the real classic stuff, Love Drive is where I would definitely start. All right. All right. So I think I got things in order. In 1980, they re-released the first two albums under this thing called Rock Galaxy. Um, and it is the debut Lonesome Crow and Fly to the Rainbow. It's on a gatefold. It comes in one LP, of course, is the first album. The second LP is the next, and then it is a nice RCA black label. It's a little silver tint to it, so I do like that label, the way it kind of shines off the light. Uh, but this is just, if you didn't have the first two albums, you can grab this and have it all in one little spot. It's a two LP set, like I said. Um, I only bought it because I love Scorpion stuff, and anything I find that's unusual and different, uh, I had to grab that. So that's the reason why I have that one. Uh, then we have Animal Magnetism. Another one that caused another cover that was a little controversial with the woman on their knees and the dog staring at whatever he might be staring at. Um, you know, they were very subtle. They weren't very subtle with their covers sometimes. This was from March 31st, 1980. Um, this is more classic Scorpions for me. Um, I'm trying to find it here. Here we go. All right. The middle of this album, though, weighs it down. But the songs here that are good are like really great. So you've got the opening duo, Make It Real and Don't Make No Promises, and then the final trifecta of closing songs of Only a Man, The Zoo, and Animal Magnetism. I'm all in for those. The ones in the middle, though, do weigh it down a little bit. So this might be like at my top 10. Um, they're just, for me, it was like a step back from Love Drive. Um, but it was still getting more and more of that 80s rock sound that we love. Again, they're Mercury labels now, and there's my Black Mercury. Um, so really good album, just not one of the best. They don't have bad albums. Just like I said, just the middle of that thing. There just weren't enough songs. So to have that middle weigh it down like that, just kind of, yeah, for me. Um, all right, but I did get it a little out of order. Back in 1979, they did release a greatest hits, so I didn't get it quite perfect in order. We have their first little greatest hits album called Best of Scorpions. Great cover. I won't argue with that. Band shots, they just never really good on the band shots. This is RCA Black. Um, so RCA was just doing a greatest hits of all their early albums, basically from Fly to the Rainbow and Taken by Force. Between those albums right there, had a weird insert on here, a little Buddhist pleasure from the Buddha group on that. It's on both sides, really weird. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's got all the classic songs from those between those albums, um, and even something from Tokyo Tapes. So yeah, great little greatest hits. There's only 10 tracks, um, but worth, if you see it, grab it. Why not? I did. I mean, I'll anything on vinyl from them that I'm gonna get. All right, now we're gonna get pretty much my entry point into the band. March 8th, 1982, we get Blackout. That to me is one of their best covers. Just really with the forks in the eyes, the glass breaking around, just a stellar. And I love this shot of the band on the inner sleeve. And then we have the lyrics right there. And as far as the album, it's Mercury label, um, with the buildings and everything, black vinyl. All right, this is it, man. This to me is the pinnacle. It's not my number one album, but it's pretty damn close. Any day, I mean, I could switch this with my number one album all the time. There's just another variety on here. It's got the 80s rock sound. There's some 70s glam and 70s dark and gloomy heavy metal, but it is just rockers. It's got the ballads. It is just it is killer. You got Blackout, Can't Live Without You. No One Like You, one of their best songs ever. Dynamite, China White, just song after song of really goodness. So yeah, this to me, only one album may be better, and then again, depending on the day. But this is where I was going to end. At least that's how I'm going to write it up. There is an album that came out afterwards. It was another greatest hits album from the band. Um, it was called Hot and Heavy. Um, this is a German pressing, a very clean German pressing. Um, and it's got a lot of the songs from the early albums. So again, they're just trying to capitalize on the new success that the Scorpions were having in America and everything. So they were releasing all these greatest hits albums of songs from the stuff that are like pre-Love Drive and things like that. And what I like about the back is they advertises a couple other albums from other bands. We get Wallenstein, David Bowie, and Jose Feliciano on here. I just a standard black, but I love the green RCA International label. That's actually kind of cool because I don't have one with that label on it like that. So to me, that was awesome. And that's where we're going to stop for now. We're going to come back next week, pick it up at Love at First Sting, and go all the way up to Rock Believer. I tried to split it in half. About half my albums would cover, and then we'd cover the other half the next time. So thank you for watching. Please click like, hit subscribe, leave a comment. We'll get back with you as soon as we can. Go to the website if you could. Check out the Scorpions albums, and I've reviewed them all, and I've got an album ranking, and so you can really read into detail what I think about each one. And we will see you next time on The Collection.